What you're hearing is Hardie Fiber Cement Siding living up to its reputation as the siding that helps resist weather damage, no matter what Mother Nature throws its way. James Hardie knows how important a reputation is, especially when you're a home builder. That's why Hardie products withstand the elements better than wood-based siding, with styles to match their strength. Because when home builders work with us, we deliver our best so they can look their best. Protect your reputation with exterior products by James Hardie.
Blog Talk Radio.
Good evening, everyone. This is me, Jonathan Alexander, and I'm here to host our show, Life After Happiness. Today, we are talking about the election and how everyone is dealing with it, or, suffering from it, I should say. And I think that it's an important thing to discuss because of the fact that, it's everybody's opinion, everybody acting on their opinion, And when you act on your opinion, with voting, that's like everybody's acting on, So, in other words, it's we're going to be having Barbara Collins soon, and when she does, I'll put her through. Okay, give me a second here. Okay. So while we wait, I just texted her to let her know to come in. Okay. Okay. Let's see here. Give me a second. Okay, give me 1 second here. Okay. Barbara will be here soon. Okay.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, Barbara. Hey.
Hey,
yeah,
Johnnie.
I think what it was it disconnected me for a second, but then I called back, and then while I was disconnected, you called in, and that's what that was. Okay.
Okay.
So
well, I'm glad I have this back up. I have a backup way in case, and I'll tell you, I've had Wi-Fi problems, and when I had the worst ones was election night, and I couldn't believe it. I had to unplug everything and plug it back in just so I could watch. I was so excited to see this election, and I was just worried, but then I got it back working. So anyway, I'm glad it's working now too, so we can talk about the election.
Yeah, I think that what's exciting about it is the rarity of it. Like, for example, you know who Grover Cleveland is, right?
Yes.
Okay. he is the only other president besides Trump to have become president for a term, but then lost, and then came back 4 years later and ran for president and won.
I did hear that, but
So,
I want to ask you this regarding that. How many people have tried to do this? That's my question. Has this been attempted by many?
It's generally not attempted. It's sort of like when, it'd be like George Herbert Walker Bush coming back in 1992, and that doesn't happen,
If this doesn't, it's very rare. He really wanted to come back and try again, didn't he? So,
yeah.
Okay. Here's what I predicted. I just could not believe how many people thought it was going to be such a close race. All the polls, just people in general, all the news, it was saying it's going to be so tight, it's going to be so close. But then when I was watching all the rallies on both sides, I was thinking, how in the world could this be close? Could it not be fair? Because when I see the Trump rallies, those crowds are so huge. And then I saw her, and they weren't. And another thing I thought she didn't go for was getting on those podcasts that were big, like the Joe Rogan Experience, because that's the new wave of the future. Now everybody's talking about it, how people are going to watch their news that way instead of the mainstream way. And I have been doing that for a long time. I don't know about you, but I have it on YouTube. I surf YouTube all day long, and I subscribe to different podcasts and shows, different ones, and then I just switch around. And people are doing that now, so I think it was a big mistake of hers not to, and it made me think, is she afraid to go on this Joe Rogan because she wasn't liking to do many interviews, especially ones that she thought might be tough questions. So that made me feel like, well, if she can't do Joe Rogan and she's seeming to be afraid of it, how is she going to deal with these really powerful other heads of countries? What are your thoughts on that? I was going to tell you that.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing to say. I mean, but another, I agree with you about that, about not doing interviews, but I also think another point is that, for 4 years, people have been mad. And they've been really, really angry. Like when in 2020, there's COVID. And basically it messed up the economy. And then after 2020, what?
Well, it messed up the economy, but I thought you were getting into it messed up the election. You bounced from.
I think kind of did because, see, it was like, I don't know if you remember, I know we're talking about 2029, 2024, but like Trump missed one debate because of COVID. And
yes.
Also,
well, it was hard to also be fair with counting the ballots. Nobody was there because they all were home or wearing masks and isolating themselves. So there was no. If you see the old footage, you don't see any security at these poll places back then for counting.
Mm-hmm. And it's like amazing what he's been through. I mean, it's like, arrested, 2 assassination attempts. They tried to get him off the ballot. They tried to get him on, he took classified documents. They tried to get him
in court.
to keep him in court. They tried to, and all of now everything that he's going to legalize is either going to be not matter or be overturned.
And it was hours and hours taken away from time that could have been managed doing some important things. And his whole family, the sons, were brought into court. I heard them talking about it yesterday, saying, it was no fun. We were in there hours and hours and hours knowing it was just a bogus case, and we'd have to sit there just grueling for hours. They said in this cold, dark or this cold courtroom. It just was misery. And I know people who've gone through court cases, just one, way smaller than something like this, and they're depleted. They give up. A lot of prevailing through all of that because it must have been tough. I don't know how this guy has so much energy. He's almost 80, correct?
Yeah.
No, maybe isn't he 73? I need to know exactly how old he is because from 73 to 80, that's a big difference.
I can look up real quick on what he is. Give me 1 second here.
But still, I have a dad, and I see that he doesn't have how much? 78?
78.
That's getting up there, and for a 78-year-old person to have that much energy is strange. It's crazy. I think it's also because he doesn't really he doesn't drink. He doesn't do any drugs, and he wakes up feeling normal every day. A lot of other people, they have to blow off steam and have some cocktails, and you never can be clear-minded the next day. But I think that helps a lot. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, there is some truth to that, I think. I mean,
so that's good.
Like,
That's good to know that he doesn't do that. Drinking, no drugs.
Yeah, that's what he tells there. No drinking, no drugs, and don't get any tattoos.
And all of the kids, I think it makes their life a lot easier where they can just not. If they just don't do it, they're never tempted, and then they don't get into any trouble. So if you can teach them young.
Yeah, it's easy to say no to drugs. But, it's like actually when, Nancy Reagan did the whole say no, she said that people said, well, that's like saying telling kids to not eat candy. But then again, it's easier to say no to it when you're not addicted to it. It's like like I can say no to cigarettes easier than other people. I don't go through my day thinking about the fact that I don't smoke. I just, it's out of my system.
Yes, and it's also easier not to do it if you're sheltered and you're going to a private school and, you're accommodated pretty much in every single way in life. You don't have to struggle too much. You're not tempted to escape, So I agree. It's easier when you do have a silver spoon in your mouth. It is easier to control the children as well because they're always under your eye. So back to the election, I am not noticing a big uproar from the Democrats, although I don't go searching for crying Democrats. I assume there's a lot of upset people that sometimes they'll put on TikTok a screaming, just a complete screaming person about.
Yeah.
But what do you see? Do you see a big uproar?
It's a big difference in 2016. 2016, people were screaming and crying. Now people are more like, come on, this is ridiculous. They're talking about it like it's this, oh great,
They were shocked, right? They were absolutely shocked when he won the first time.
Shocked,
Trump,
but they're handling it a little better this time.
This time they're not as shocked, but I don't know one person that was for Kamala. Except for our psychic Dale Scheer, of course. She's been a little quiet on the subject, but every single person I know, I've gotten so many phone calls, messages, everything. They're just so elated with Trump's win. They're excited for the future. They're feeling relieved. They feel like they're going to not be hurt by any illegal immigrant that's bad, that hasn't been checked out. They feel like their future is bright. That's what I have noticed. I do not know one person personally that was for her. Is there anything about her that you liked? I want to know. Is there anything? Any redeeming quality at all?
I'm sure if I got to know her, I would. But I think that. But I wouldn't. I don't think there's anything about her that would make me think she would be qualified to be president. No.
Oh, as a person, there's something about her I do like as a person. So I must say, she looks like always smiling, always happy. I mean, she does have that funny laugh, but I think that there's some dynamic quality, and for what she has gone through to get to these high positions, it's not an easy road. I mean, they say, oh, well, she slept her way to the top. Still, there's a lot of work you have to put in. You don't just sit there and do nothing in the position. But I don't think that she was qualified for this. I really don't think she didn't make me feel like she knew any facts, especially about dealing with war. How was she going to do that? That was making me very nervous, the war. I would like to ask you how you feel about this subject. We've talked about it a lot on the show, actually, with the transgender, whole woke agenda. How are you feeling about that? Do you think you're not going to have that shoved down your throat now? Did you ever feel like it was being shoved down your throat?
I do think that what's going to happen is they're going to, obviously, Trump voters are very private. They're not the kind of people who are going to make a big deal out of it. I mean, I think the way the Trump voters have handled the trans issue is they just vote. Not that it's not a matter of agree or disagree, they just vote. And that seems to be how we won. Because, the interesting thing is Trump won the popular vote. And that's the first time in 20 years that's happened.
Really? In 20 years?
Yeah.
You mean for a Republican?
Yes. See, let's go back.
Are you really well-versed on how all this works with the electorate and the popular...
Let me explain. 2020, Biden won. 2016, Trump won, but he didn't win the popular vote. Okay? 2012,
okay, so let me ask you, is the popular, does that have to do with, obviously, not the electorate?
Yes.
Okay, so
it has to do with the number of people.
That's the real people. So let me ask you, so then because a lot of people were also saying, I don't even vote. They're still saying that, some people out there. I don't vote because my vote doesn't count. I'm out there in California with all the wackos. That's what, I'm quoting somebody. And where I'm from, where I grew up, Washington State, some of these people feel like their vote doesn't count. But obviously, if he won in the popular vote, isn't that a popular vote that they count? So doesn't mean that?
No.
Does that mean it
no,
counts?
it doesn't matter. See, in 2000, let's go back to 2016. 2016, Trump won the electoral vote, but he did not get the most votes. Okay? Then in 2012, it was Obama. 2008, it was Obama again. 2000, and then 2004, it was Bush, and he won the popular vote, which is 20 years ago.
Thank you for explaining that. So when people say my vote wouldn't count anyway, but I voted anyway, but it doesn't count, but I just did it out of principle.
Well, I do think
I've had to say that.
I have some. Yeah, I think the thing about the electoral college is that I would change it to be like, what I would do is I would take one electoral vote out of each of the 50 states, and then I would give it to the popular vote. That way, in the same rules as possible, 270 to win, but the popular vote gets 50. And the reason I would do it that way is, here's the problem with the electoral vote. is that right now there's a lot of voter apathy. Like, for example, if you're a Republican in California, you may think, well, why vote? You know, I mean, you know, he's going to win California. Someone's going to win. I know who's going to win California. But then if you're in a state like, say, Georgia, which usually, you know, or if you're a Republican or if you're a Democrat, if you're a Republican in, say, the District of Columbia, for example, you know, that never goes Republican. And it's like you may feel like you know, like, why bother?
I'll tell you why.
Sense?
Well, it makes sense why they are saying this, but I'll tell you why what they're saying does not make any sense at all, because you're not just voting for the president. There's a lot of other people you're voting for on that ballot, which has a lot of senators on there that most of them turned red. There's new senators. So you're helping with that, or your governor, or, you know, trickles down the schools in your state. So there's so much more to vote for your party within that whole ballot there. So that's why it matters. You know, maybe it doesn't matter with the president, but it does matter when you're voting for the senator or the governor, doesn't it? So, of course, everybody's vote counts for that. That's important. Very important. Am I wrong?
I mean, everything matters because it all adds up, you know.
So I don't believe in that. Everybody can do what they want. It's their right, and that's not my business. But I'm just explaining why it's ridiculous to say that, because it does matter with all the other things. Like, they would really appreciate it, your senator, if you would vote for them and you take the time to go do so, or sit on your couch and fill in a dot and mail it in. It's so easy. So just do it. I think I even vote for other elections. I don't just vote every 4 years. I vote.
Oh, yeah.
You know, whenever there's an election.
I do that too.
Yeah.
I vote for things like, you know, like I voted to legalize marijuana and everything. So
you voted against it?
No, I voted for legalization of marijuana.
Okay, and that confused me because I thought it was already legal.
Well, it depends on what you mean by legal. Like, you know, there's recreational marijuana, and then there's medicinal marijuana, and then there is, you know, like, in other words, there's legal to the point where, you know, like, for example, you can't go into a grocery store and just smoke, you know. But that's what they mean by legal. There's different types of legal.
Well, I do know in Washington State, where I'm from, I remember they did pass that, where you could just walk down the street and smoke a joint of marijuana if you wanted to. But when I go and visit there, they don't do that because they don't want to draw any trouble to them. You know, you're just kind of more asking for trouble just walking down, smoking a joint down the city street. But you actually can there. You really can. You actually can do it. It's legal. So I was a little confused. You know, I'm not into it, so I didn't know about it. I didn't know. I think in California people can buy it. I do see stores everywhere with the green cross. Yes, it is legal here. So I bet there's other laws about, is it legal to grow? I know it is here and Washington State. I just don't know about a lot of other states. What about your state, Johnnie, Florida? What's the? Can you go to a shop and buy marijuana there?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I think that you know, what I think is a general consensus is that it should be legal. I think that, you know, obviously I believe that it's like there's just different kinds of legal, like, for example, medical, you know, and I think that's what they're talking about.
course. You don't have to tell me what you voted for. We already said that we were not going to really discuss our personal. But, okay, I want to end with this. This has been on my mind. It's all about the last speech or many speeches that Donald Trump has done, which includes a lot of promises. And one of them was to end this war before he even is sworn in. How is he going to do that? And then he promised the people that he's going to keep all of his promises. So you got to be careful about what you promise, though. But they're already trying to instill something to where he won't be able to have the power to, a lot of powers. They're trying really quickly to take presidential power, like reduce the presidential power, I heard, before he even gets in there. So how do you think the people will feel if he's not able to come through with that certain promise?
Well, as usual, they're going to be upset. But then again, people are going to vote against him and for him. So, I think that,
I mean, do you even think that it sounds like you could do that? I mean, that's like saying a lot right there that you could do that. So, I mean, do you even personally think that is possible?
I guess it would. I don't know. I don't think a president is going to vote to give himself less power.
No, not that. I don't mean that. Do you think it is possible to end the war before he is sworn in? Didn't he promise that?
Oh, I think he could, yeah. I think he could. I mean, he was able to get rid of ISIS,
Okay. All right. I didn't know how he could do much before he actually was sworn in, but we will see. It should be interesting. The thing is that anytime Trump is involved with anything, it's just more exciting. It makes for, entertaining television, and otherwise it gets kind of boring. So there's something about him. He has a lot of pizzazz. He's funny. Some people say that he doesn't speak very well, but yes, but he does get his point across. So it looks like that matters. It looks like that's what matters. And people can relate to people that are not speaking totally like politicians. Well, it's done, and I am glad, like so many others, that it was just like a clean ending to where it was a landslide. I actually did predict that, and I didn't want to hurt people's feelings. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I know there's a lot of people that are disappointed. I know that Dale Scheer she spoke openly about wanting Kamala, and I haven't talked to her yet, but she'll be okay.
Yeah.
We'll talk to her about it maybe a little bit tomorrow. How about that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
On Psychic Night with Dale Scheer tomorrow night, same time.
Okay. Did you
All right.
do the shout
well,
out?
It's been interesting, and I do look forward to a good future. And thank you for having this show and talking about it a little bit. Just follow us. Oh, I've been working all day. I got addicted to working on the YouTube. I have 2 YouTube channels I run, Life Laughter Happiness and my own personal YouTube. I just got addicted to it, and the hours just ticked away. It's so fun. I love working on that. So then I will work on our Life, Laughter, Happiness YouTube and get some new content up. Until then, go to Facebook, Life, Laughter, Happiness Radio Show. And we also have a private group, so it'll connect you to that. If you have any private things you would like to share, we're there for you. It's a smaller group for Life, Laughter, Happiness, and then also on Twitter and Instagram, too. But we'll see everybody tomorrow night for Psychic Dale Scheer. So everybody, get your question, one question, make it specific, and call into the show tomorrow. All right, Johnnie, thank you, and have a fabulous night. Bye, everybody.
Not